Hey everyone. So the story assigned for me is the Life of Pi. So Life of Pi was not actually my favorite type of theme in novel, the survival. I like mystery and thriller, but um while reading the Life of Pi, I think I'm gonna love this novel because I have not finished to read. I'm still in the chapter 60. So for now, I'm gonna tell you what I read so far. So the author tells that the experiences of his life while while writing the novel Life of Pi. So the author Jan Martil, she is traveled from other country to India to actually wants to write, but in some incident, his novel that he want to introduce in Indian country was not approved, and she second attempt but is still not approved. During his hesitation and problem that time, she goes in restaurant in India and he meet Francis. Francis was the one who is an a simple man in India, and she he saw Yan Martel's face that feels of hope and problem, and he thought that he gonna tell some story that make him believe in God. So Francis tell him the story of Life of Pi. It is the Pi Partel, the main character of the novel. So um, also tells that it is the it is a story of survival. During the introduction of the author on her life while writing, the author also tells that it is the story of survival. So in chapter one, the author introduced the life of Pi during his adult. At that time, he was studied in University of Toronto. She take the bachelor degree of zoology and religious. So during that, she takes zoology. He study about the sloths and the other animals in the zoo, but she also choose to the other side of the course that you want to get, which is the religious, studied about the gods. So he especially admiring and peacefully studied the surroundings around him in Canada. He tells about the good and the bad he experienced in the country she studied well in Canada. So the chapter 2, the author is described the gentle and humble way of Pi. She's living in Canada with a simple life, and person is extraordinary person. So Pi in chapter 2 thinks more than in in his life. So in chapter 3, Pi talks about his name, which means Pislin Molitor Patel. It's a name after swimming pool. Um, it is more on bullying that time in his childhood because uh, Pi is more on swimming pool, and some people is make fun of his name because it is simple swimming pool with that 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 meaning that it don't have any connection with his family. So chapter 4, he described growing around his father's zoo because his father have owned a zoo which have different kinds of animals. So chapter 5 is more on introducing the talent of Pi to make his name more interesting and to avoid bullying about his name, which is Pi. It is a marine of swimming pool. So he studied math, science. He excels in every subject to connect his name Pi so that it make it is more interesting. So in chapter 3, Pi observed peacefully home. His mother is a loving wife. A religious faith, a deeper layer of every time she goes around and go home to see his parents. His parents was a good people and citizen. So in chapter 3, Pi remembers Mr. Kumar has a biology teacher who great influence Pi to love science. So it is connected between sa zoology nga course niya and sa religious kay more on Pi is gonna love science more than religious. So she still believe in religious thing, but she's one highlight of his life is more on science. So in chapter 8, frightening lesson from his father about the danger of wild animals. So his father don't want him to make friends with the dangerous animals because it's gonna bite him or this underestimated. So the animals emphasize that animals are not to be underestimated. So his father going to love him to he gonna introduce the animals to him, but it not that become more friendly or to be more friendly to other animals. So in chapter 9, Pi explained how animals is extremely territorial. So this chapter make it Pi more afraid about the animals because of the thing that territorial and it's more on also the tiger, the king of the jungle. So that's why Pi is more on afraid of tigers. So chapter 10, he recalled that despite that safety zoos offer, sometimes animal escape, but it's usually not because of want freedom, just to badly conditioned. So in chapter 10, he recalls that the safety of zoo offer, but this time some past chapters is more on the time that they face during the running of the zoo because it's not more on getting the money and having fun, but there's is some feels that it's going to be bankrupt and it's not the zoo is not in a good condition at all. So his father decided to they gonna leave the country and go some to other country to start a new life. But Pi, because of the Pi's love to and animals, because even it is territorial and afraid of animals, she's continue loving the animals because he gonna loves his love in science. So he argue about his father in to 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 sell the zoo, but his father tells him that the zoo is not in a good condition to so they need to sell it. So during during that time they go to a boat. The boat is named of during the travel in Pacific Ocean, the sweet Simpson the Simpson boat sank that time and only Pi survived. So I'm still in the process of reading the book. So I'm still on the time that Pi survived the boat and he's he lives with some animals that time, the zebra, yana, the zebra, yana, and orangutan that time in the tiger, and they still alive at that time. The tiger named Richard Parker. So they still in the sea. While they're still in the sea, Pies is afraid of Richard Parker because he is a tiger, and he think that Richard Parker is gonna eat him. So he makes some distance to Richard Parker to avoid about eating him. So during that survival, um, Pi is always remembers to survive and avoid killed by the Richard Parker. He intentionally to supplies canned water, biscuits, and solar that he get before the boat sink that time. Pi decided to try tame Parker by establishing himself to Alpha. Pi gives some Richard Parker some foods to make him his to make him full so that he could not eat Pi. So Pi Pi he plans multiple survival strategies. He killed some fish, catch some fish to eat, and he leaves some. She experienced dehydration and hallucinations. It reflects how his fear that time comes. So in chapter 60, it is the last chapter I read so far. So he experienced the moment of pure beauty and peace. So they still in the sea that time in the chapter 60, and still surviving to catch some fish, to eat some some creatures in the sea to survive that time. So while reading the story so far, it's more on interesting because it's more on thinking about at the end Richard Parker will eat pie, or Richard Parker will die because of hunger, or pie will die because of dehydration. So there's still many questions because it's not that end. I'm still in the chapter 60. So I hope the next chapter will make it more interesting for me so that I can end the story until the chapter 100. So far that was I was read. So I have this in some highlight point in every chapter to make my analysis more on interesting, and I learned so much because the analysis I focus on theme and the character of Pi Journey. So it is, I think, until the end I'm gonna love the novel. I know in the first place it's not that interesting to me because it is a life of survival. It is true story of survival. So I think it is the story of I think it is a story of real life talaga because of the life of Pi, which connect to the true to life, which is need to survive, and the faith of God. So that's all. I'm still in the chapter 1 to chapter 60, and I still continue reading until the chapter 100. So I experience some bored sometimes because I'm not fan of reading. I'm fan of watching. So I'm still reading and hoping that by the end of the time I'm gonna finish the novel to continue write my analysis. And that's all. Thank you.